Welcome to Investor News Networks, and today we're going to be talking about compliance. If you're an investor, then compliance should be key in terms of the questions that you ask about the companies that you partner or invest in. Wrong compliance can lead to major fines, degrade shareholder value, even put people in jail. So it's an important area, and I have a great guest and a new Academy partner with me, Mike Dunk. Mike, just so people get a little bit of an idea of your background, you started out as a scientist, you worked for Glaxo, and then moved into working with technology. I think you rolled out technology to the NHS, then worked your way through a company that became Bull Information Systems to Chief Executive Officer. So now you're running Everyday, which is a compliance audit and, if you like, evaluation company. What's the story and the interest and fascination? Where did it start? Did it start in the Glaxo days?
There is a thread throughout, I can assure you. I mean, the science, probably looking back, that was too many years ago to even mention, but I joined Glaxo as really running one of their warehouses in terms of their distribution business.
Right.
That then developed in the last couple of years there in terms of developing and designing a pharmacy, in-pharmacy system, which was one of the first that they ever used. And primarily it was all around transferring of orders from the pharmacist to the central warehouse. That led into a role where we did exactly the same, but in general practice. So we were one of the first general practice IT suppliers. Crikey, this is early 80s now. And from then I joined Honeywell as was. Honeywell then evolved through a number of different criterias into Bull Information Systems, and I ended up running the UK as the Chief Executive of Bull UK and Ireland. After 20 plus years at Honeywell Bull, I moved on and I've been running my own business. A lot of different threads there, but eventually we ended up back at Everyday, where Everyday has now sort of developed a solution to help people manage their compliance within their business.
So compliance has obviously been part of the pharmacy industry for a long, long time. It's heavily regulated. IT got the bug about 15, 20 years ago, so you had to manage that. Where is compliance starting to affect companies in other sectors, market sectors? Where are you focused on putting your energies to help?
The initial introduction, as you said, goes back to the sort of pharmaceutical side of it, and we originally wrote a couple of modules around compliance when the Bribery Act came out in 2010, so it goes back that far. And our main centre of excellence was the compliance director of Pfizer at the time, who helped us put that together. That evolved through a number of different iterations, one being as part of 3 different businesses. We went across to Ghana and Nigeria, looked at anti-money laundering, became a partner with an anti-money laundering software supplier, and what we looked for was that niche. Everybody seemed to be targeting the processes, procedures that were needed. Very few people seemed to worry about the individual employees. Do they follow? Do they understand what they're doing? Do they make that? So we came up with a design of Everyday Comply, and that's where we are today.
So what are the key areas that you think viewers of Investor News Network should take extra interest and that you're actually helping organisations with?
The key regulations and legislations affect all businesses. The 2 key ones we're focusing on are the FCA, where fines can be multi-billion pounds, numbers that we wouldn't even envisage sort of a company running that as a turnover.
Yeah.
And very much health and safety, particularly around the construction industry. Each different area of construction has their own challenges, and what we have focused on is making certain that the individuals whom you employ actually do understand your processes, procedures, and are following those. Some instances people can be lazy, ignore it completely. Other times they've just not had the right training. So we focus around those 2 really key areas.
So what examples are you seeing out there that people should reference and actually be motivated to take action over?
The key areas that hit the press are the massive multi-billion pound fine. If you look at the top 10 fines that have been gone through the States, Of those, there's some well-known organisations. GlaxoSmithKline were fined $3 billion for misinterpreting and keeping secret information. Volkswagen is well publicised with their emissions targets. You look at some of the banks, Bank of America, 3 different fines. The last was $6.5 billion. So these are organisations which have massive sort of investments, but then also massive fines. You've only got to look at more local to home. If you go into the ICO, where a lot of people now are worried about GDPR. You go into the property ladder, property area. I mean, I have a small number of residential properties. The legislation around those are changing constantly. Last year we had to run Legionnaires testing diseases on everything. Quite recently, a couple were fined for converting of houses into flats without the correct approval. They picked up a fine of £241,000 just to actually manage that. So they're in every single business and every single walk of life.
So, Mike, how will Everyday help organisations avoid those fines?
We've deliberately focused on a broad solution, but one where we will have a library of specific question banks that will cover areas such as GDPR, anti-money laundering, etc. But our 2 key target areas really are around the employees of that organisation and ensuring that the employees manage and understand what processes and procedures are laid down. We're not a consultancy organisation telling you what processes and procedures you should adopt. What we are is we monitor and assess your employees. Are they delivering what they're supposed to be delivering? I mean, we did some early tests in terms of GDPR, and just from our library questions, nobody got more than 50%, and yet this is something that everybody will be impacted by and something that everybody should know by now. So it's pretty much around the actual employees assessing their ability within your own processes and procedures, and then being able to report on those and give the management the opportunity to actually either put additional training in, make certain that the people where they need specific development are given that development. And if you have a rogue employee, then you have to remove that employee.
And what is the process like? How onerous is it for you to apply this to an organisation?
Yeah, it's a SaaS-based sort of software as a service tool, so we can be set up and running very, very quickly. We have a number of standard question banks, but the majority of people will have to work with us, and we can put this in process very quickly, where we will prepare question banks relating to their business. What then happens is the management set up. We want these individuals tested on a once a quarter, once every 6 months, once every year basis. So you get away from somebody joins you give them an induction, they then never get any updates to what's going on in an organisation, and so you can then just assess, well, actually we need to re-induce these people or re-text these people or assess these people or develop them in different things. And so we provide a sort of a wide range of outputs in terms of reports for management to then say, right, where are our key risk areas? How can we focus on building these areas?
And from a point of view of actually implementing it, is it a one-shot solution, or is it something that you would like to see people using every day with a new employee induction? How do you make it part of the machinery, if you like?
Yeah. Well, I must confess, but when we got involved with the company, I like the name Everyday, because that's exactly what it implies. It isn't used every day. It can be. And generally it will be down to, in discussion with the management of a company, how often do you need to actually assess how people understand things. If you take another example, the ICO are responsible for data protection. They have, I think, 39 local authorities they fined heavily in recent years, 13 charities. The one that I did like was the Serious Fraud Office, fined £180,000 for providing information to a witness on 63 other companies who were involved in a case they were working
Oh my
with.
gosh.
So ICO have fined the Serious Fraud Office £180,000.
Okay, so from a customer point of view, you're interested in getting Everyday involved. What sort of trials or proof of concepts are possible with your solution?
Yeah, the actual model is such that it can be set up within 24 hours. It's as easy as just giving us the email addresses of those people that you want to assess. We have a library that we can draw from, so if you want to test on GDPR, you can use our own questions. So within 24 hours, we can have it set up on the system, and you can be utilising it to actually assess how your individual employees understand your own processes and procedures. Generally, it would take a few days after that where you would prepare or give us some source material that you want different question banks built up from, and we would use that source material and work with you to provide other question banks for your people. What we have found with sort of some of our early adopters, they go in on a couple of question banks and then they extend beyond that. So the one example is, I'm a keen rugby man. We installed the system into the rugby club where I'm a director of rugby, specifically because I was concerned that as we'd become a new charitable incorporated organisation, trustees had taken on their responsibilities without knowing what they'd taken on.
Right.
We're now in the process of putting together a number of question banks around safeguarding. So the plan is that it gets in very quickly, it gets in very cheaply. We can provide a proof of concept for somebody for no charge very, very quickly, within two days maximum. And from then onwards, it's then, let's see how this applies to our people. How much do we want to roll it out? Where have we got areas of risk within our business? So it's all about reducing risk for the business, for the individual directors, and building a history of an understanding of what people know about your own individual company.
So every industry is different, and what you're saying is you really need a consultation about the biggest risks that will keep a director awake at night or could potentially give them fines or even put them in jail. And you just build a dashboard and program to address those, and then with knowledge they can conquer those risks.
We're not going to be able to stop the crook, the bent individual that wants to sort of take money from an investor that builds a property without using the correct materials. What we can do, however, is record that individual knew that what he was doing was incorrect, and it was against your instructions, against what you wanted and what you told him he had to do. So even 2 years down the line, something that comes alight, you've got the evidence that guy was going against what you wanted to do. It was going against what your rules and processes and procedures were. So it was giving the individual director a certain amount of cover. Doesn't cover him completely, but he's got the evidence that states that this guy was actually going against what he was asked to do.
Yeah. So I mean,
assuming it's the guy. Sorry.
Absolutely, but lots of applications around health and safety, FCA compliance, which are obvious. But also, it sounds to me like there could be situations where someone has seen a wonderful entrepreneurial company, very young, but not process savvy and caring about regulations in the way they should. And they may be able to acquire them and use Everyday to improve the risk ratings on the investment and improve the success of the business. At the same time, so a partnership with you.
Yeah, it will evolve into that type of partnership where we don't have all the answers. We have a number of standard and a library of standard critical areas that you need to be looking at. But it will then evolve with the customer into those specific areas that they're worried about and develop into a much more of a joint relationship where they can gain from what we can provide.
Yeah, and equally the worries that the investor may have, you could use it rather like when you buy a house, you do a survey. They could take a crowdfunding platform that somebody's built and start ask the 100 or so employees about their awareness of FCA compliance, and if that's low, then there's
a bigger risk.
Yeah.
And or what you can also do then is extend that into your suppliers. So from your supply chain, you can then sit there and then just say, anybody that you want to employ as a supplier, do they understand their roles and responsibilities within the global supply of your solution? So do they know what their GDPR responsibilities are, etc.?
Mike, sounds like Everyday has possibilities for everyone. So thank you so much for that overview. And if you'd like to find out more information, then please contact Mike on the information below, and he'll be pleased to give you one of those proofs of concepts and trials and improve the risk ratings on your investments. That's all from myself and Mike today from Investor News Network. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Thank you.